Hello and welcome to Scholesy Talks Football. Hello and welcome to Scholesy Talks Football episode 1. This show will be happening every single Sunday where I talk about a bit of football news. In main non-league, Northern League, the Northern Premier League, the Northern Leagues, the Lowlands League, the East of Scotland League. They're the ones that I'm particularly interested in. And then I'll be talking about a total random non-league player. And finally, I will be doing a match review. At the minute, I'm going to a lot of Stockton Town FC matches. So that will be the weekly review. Will be a lot of Stockton Town FCs for now. But I'm hopefully going to get to clubs like Gretna and Berwick because they're quite easy to get to. Along with a lot more Teesside teams and hopefully some Lancashire teams long-termly as well. But let me tell you a bit about me. Let me tell you about my football story. So my dad died in 1995, November 1995 to be exact. And this was around about the time that Eric Cantona came off an 8 ban in football. I always liked football. I always liked collecting the stickers. I used to love playing school football. I used to play for the school football team. I was a goalkeeper, and I loved being a goalkeeper. It's everything about being a goalkeeper that makes sense to me. A lone wolf, the person that has to stop the goals, the true warrior, the true king. But later in life, I became a centre forward, mildly amusing on the old sort of Saturday and Sunday league circuits and stuff like that. But I remember about this season particularly, I remember when Eric Cantona got his massive ban for him doing his Kung Fu karate and all that jazz. And I remember when he came back in the October. And when he came back as a character genius, a god in a lot of ways. And it excited me as a young fan. He legitimately excited me as a young fan. I wanted to be so much like Eric Cantona, all right, in a lot of ways. I wanted to pop my collar, as they would say these days. I'd pop my collar up on my Manchester United shirts. I would act like I was a king. He was a guy that made me feel good. He made me feel like I could be something. And as we know about Cantona, he's an actor, and so his dramatics, his artistic concept brought amazingness into football. He was the true, in my perspective, original character in the early Premier League era. And as we know in that season as well, he cracked in 19 goals. He won the FA Cup. I believe he scored the winning goal in the FA Cup. And as life went on, I realised when it comes to football for me, I like stories more than I do teams. In a lot of ways. So I'm from a town called Bedford, and we used to go and see Bedford Town quite often when I was younger. But I fell in love with Leeds a little bit later on, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, goes to Man United, then goes to Leeds and stuff like that. But I fell in love with David O'Leary's Champions League team that did so well. People like Smudge, Alan Smith, people like Lee Bowyer, Mark Viduka, Lucas Radaby, Nigel Martin. And I liked this gang of good players, Harry Kewell, gang of good players that pushed remarkable elements. And in a lot of ways, it was very similar to when Leicester won the Premiership. And then, I'm not going to lie, I lived in Luton. I lived in Bedfordshire, and I used to go to Kenilworth Road all the time. And we know that Kenilworth Road has history, has story. Won the Littlewoods Cup in 1988, won the St Johnstone Vase Trophy a couple of years back, when I believe they were in League Two. They got out of the worst league to get out of in the world, being the Conference. And then they made their way up to the Premiership. And they're not having a great season this year, but they're having a good season. But that's a great story. And then that led me to having a passion to non-league football. And I remember about the time period when I became passionate about non-league football was when the Football Club United of Manchester came about. The Football Club United of Manchester came about. And I think that is one of the most important time periods ever in football. That there was a bunch of fans, they didn't like big corporation football, and they walked away, okay, from the biggest club in the world, being Manchester United. And I became not a supporter but a follower of them. I tend to get their kits, their shirts. I love buying their merchandise. But that led me into loving, okay, a lot of the Manchester scene football, teams like Ramsbottom, teams like Radcliffe, teams like Aston United. Do you know what I mean? And I grew a passion for the Lancashire scene football. And then eventually I moved to Middlesbrough. And Middlesbrough has a great football history. But their lower league scene is great as well. Teams like Stockton Town, which I'm seeing a lot of their matches currently mask. The Whitby, look, man, they're in the first round of the FA Cup. Scarborough's a bit further out, but it's in that region, in that element. And football became important so much from the non-league scene for me, because non-league football, for me personally, is about the pureness of the game. Yes, the players get paid, but there's pureness of the game. There is no VAR. There isn't all these extra concepts there. It is about the referee, the linesman, and the people on the pitch. All right. And what makes it better is when a non-league club is owned by fans. And that is one of the biggest things I believe in football is fan-led teams. Fan-led teams. When you see the membership being fully involved with the kits being made, when you see members changing every single year and the committees and stuff like that, and this is what makes football great. And I personally believe non-league football made football great again for me. So this is what the podcast is fundamentally going to be about, man. It's going to be about non-league football. It's going to be about what I enjoy, the little bits of news and stuff like that. As I said, a lot of from now till January is going to be about Stockton Town FC, because they're my local, just one bus journey away. Great ticket prices, and there will be other games dropped in there, honestly, because we've got Middlesbrough ladies, we've got Stockton ladies, we've got interestingly enough, the Football Club United of Manchester women's team will be playing Middlesbrough ladies soon, and I will be going to that. And yeah, so this is what this is about, okay? And I really, really want people to jump on board. I really, really want people to enjoy this, and I want people to be involved with this as well. So this is our first episode, and this will be the first non-league player that I'll be talking about. And do you know what this came from? I was following on Twitter Gibraltar versus Ireland, and I was also following on Twitter San Marino versus Denmark. And Gibraltar and San Marino, a lot of professional football players will go, oh, they're the teams which the carpenters play for, the plumbers play for, the sort of like shopkeepers play for. And there is a lot of truth to that. And it's fun. There's a lot of also cool semi-pro football players that have international duty as well. And today we are going to be talking about Jake Goslin, born in Oxford. His dad was Gibraltar. So it wasn't a random link. His dad was Gibraltar, so it was half Gibraltar. Fun fact about him, and let's talk about this fun fact. He was, up to a little while ago, the all-time top scorer for Gibraltar with 2 bloody goals. Recently, Liam Walker has gone in and beaten that record. He spent most of his career in the lower leagues of British football, Forest Green, Bristol Rovers, Torquay United. But for me, looking at his stats, looking at his numbers, he particularly had his greatest time period for a club called, I hope I get this right, and I do apologise if I do. I'll tell you a bit about this club, actually. It's quite interesting. It was founded by the Sikh community based in Walsall. All right, Sporting K Halash FC, and I'm sorry if I get this wrong. He played 2 seasons there, 26 games, 15 goals. His whole entire career, he played 186 games and scored 40 goals, and he was a winger. He's currently in the Northern Premier, the league that is the Northern League underneath the conference. I can never remember. I can never say, is it VAR, the van company, whatever it is. And he's currently playing for Rush Hall Olympic in that league. And he was a super interesting little player fundamentally. If you look at it, he was a proper semi-professional player. And he played for bloody Gibraltar. And you know what? Gibraltar's always interested me, because when I was 16, I really wanted to join the army, and I wanted to join the Gibraltar Guard. They march up a hill, okay? And that's why it's called the Rock and stuff like that. And they have really interesting little clubs there, to be fair. If you do a little bit of research, and it's super fun. They have a little league over there. They have a team, I believe, that's Manchester something, and they have something called the Imps as well. But yeah, so Jake Gosling is our first guy that we talk about, random non-league football players. And it is match day. And in Teesside, man, the weather is bloody awful. I'm talking about rain, go away, come back another day sort of awful. But it won't be that bad for the Stockton versus Dunstan match. And the reason being because it's a 3D pitch, it can be controlled a little bit better than waterlogged grass pitches. We're seeing a lot of the Lowlands League in Scotland and a lot of non-league football in the North East being cancelled, the pitches that particularly have grass. But Stockton's game today versus Dunstan is one of them games where they've got to keep their eye on the prize of winning this match. Dunstan have won the FA Vars in 2011, 2012. It's quite a while ago, I know. But last season they did finish 6th place. They currently sit in 7th. They're 1 point behind Stockton. But any position from 7th to 1st is so close. So if Dunstan win today, they could push themselves up to 3rd, 4th. And it's the same with Stockton. If the results go their way, they could push themselves up into that 3rd position. The thing that's a bit interesting, I think, about this Dunstan team, they've got 2 particular players that have a decent score record. So we have Dale Pearson, that's on 8 goals, and Jake Muskell, that's on 6. But we've got Howes, Fowler and Roberts all on 4 goals. So this could be a really interesting match. This could be a really super exciting match. I will be there at the MAP Stadium enjoying it, probably having a cheeky Parmo burger, which I know my wife will 100% be jealous of because she's a Teesside girl and she loves a good Parmo. The other match we will be keeping an eye on and we will be talking about in the podcast as well is Basford versus FC United of Manchester. The team that I pretty much have come to terms with, I support in Maine when it comes to professional football. Or semi-professional football, or non-league football in that sense. But this is an interesting game in a lot of ways because FC United sit mid-table, all right, and Basford sit, I believe, 21st in the league. So we'll be keeping an eye on this match. This will be a good match, and hopefully FC United can win this to push themselves up that league, maybe into a playoffs position sometime in the future. So currently FC United of Manchester are drawing 1-1 with Bashford and the Berwick Rangers are drawing 0-0 with Albion Rovers. Stockton Town are currently losing 1-0 to Dunstan. It's been an interesting game. I'm at Stockton, I'm at the MAPS Stadium. It's been an interesting little game. I think Dunstan have not outplayed Stockton at all. I think what they have done is they've been more physical. They've been more of a bullying force, pushing Stockton to their limits in a lot of ways, and that's what's made the game really, really interesting. It was a 44th minute penalty. It was a soft penalty in my perspective, but Stockton aren't out of this game. Not all hope is lost. All right, I still think Stockton can really, really, really push the second half. As we've seen in the last 2 weeks, them Chesterley in the Durham Challenge Cup and also Grimsby last week, they are very slow starters, Stockton. A second half game this could be for them. I think it could be 2-1. They need Kev Hales to be able to run off the mark a little bit more. He's been marked a lot by Dunstan, so let's hopefully push this second half like hell. Wowzers, what a second half. There was drama, there was theatre, there was absolutely everything you needed from the second half in football. Within a few minutes of the second half, we had one of the Dunstan players basically doing Adi Nakambai. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right, missed an open goal basically. It should have gone in. Anybody could have scored it. Okay, a few minutes later, the Dunstan manager got a yellow card, well deserved, I want to say that. We had Mac Williams get a red card for Stockton. They went down to 10 men. In all this time period as well, we had Fowler come on, one of our top goal scorers. all right, came on. He changed absolutely everything. He was a more physical centre forward, all right, was pushing on their defence hardcore, all right. And after the red card, the team came together and they started playing a lot better, all right. The football got better, but it was still extremely hard to watch, all right. And then from a free kick, a little mini goal mouth scramble, Sweet scored, the game ended 1-1. What a game, absolutely exciting stuff, all right. Okay, had my heart racing all the way through it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say Stockton played great football, because they didn't, okay, all right. But after the sending off, they worked hard and they got what they deserved. Bashford versus FC United ended 1-1. And Albion Rovers versus Berwick ended 1-0 to Albion. After a very, very, very hard draw with Dunstan, 1-0. Okay, the league table for Stockton Town is looking really, really good. They have moved up to third place. They are 1 point off the top of the table. Okay, we are 10 games in, people. We're 10 games in. This is such a positive start to the season, all right, for Stockton Town. Semi-pro football is the best, okay. Saturday football is the best. On a lovely autumn amazing day, I've just watched a great game. So yesterday was also a really sad day. Maybe one of the greatest British football players of all time passed on. October the 21st will always be remembered the day that Sir Bobby Charlton died. He had 606 appearances for Manchester United, scored 199 goals. He had 106 appearances for England, scored 49 goals. He survived the Munich air disaster. He won 3 Youth FA Cups, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 1 World Cup, 4 Home Nations. And he was a Knight of the Realm. He'll be known as the player that fundamentally inspired David Beckham's dad to inspire his son to be the greatest player of all time, or the greatest set-piece player of all time. Another one's gone, man. There's only Jeff Hurst left now, what me and my brother were discussing in the car. And it's not my generation, it's the generation before me and the generation before that they are losing their childhoods. And it is an extremely sad time. It was an extremely sad day yesterday. So listen to me, I send love and prayers to all his family. And every single Manchester United fan, new, old, and whatever. But thank you for listening.